entire Bioshock franchise on Steam Deck. We got Bioshock 1 and 2 Remastered and Bioshock Infinite. There's also the original PC versions for Bioshock 1 and 2, and I recommend you avoid those personally because, well, apart from these being the ones that are sold on Steam now, the originals really have a lot of crashing problems. When I played those back in the day with Windows 7, these two crashed on many loading screens very often. So again, the remasters should iron things out. Starting with the first Bioshock, again on the OLED Steam Deck, 800p. And these are the settings. So the first thing I'm going to try on the original Bioshock is to actually hit 90s consistently, because I went on the OLED Steam Deck, Unreal Engine 3, and these games really have some microstutter every once in a while. Not sure why. Maybe it's a Linux compatibility thing with DirectX 9. Oh yeah, shotgun. Let's grab more ammo. And this area really dropped frames for me back in the day. Also, I think the aspect ratio is incorrect for some of the UI elements. I chose maintain aspect ratio, but not sure if that meant maintain aspect ratio for 16:9. Or if it was actually to maintain the aspect ratio for the resolution that I chose. So yeah, the UI seems to be a little bit squeezed down. But we seem to be hitting 90s pretty consistently. I wasn't expecting consistent 90s because usually UE3 games, I'm thinking about something like Spec Ops: The Line, that is also UE3, was dropping below 90 because of the main thread for the game being 1 or 2. But this one, being an older game than that, was being not demanding at all. So yeah, the original Bioshock works pretty well. I would recommend, if you can play it at 90, it feels pretty smooth. Not sure if it breaks something with the visuals. Overall, it seems to be completely fine. So for battery life purposes, if you want even more battery life, consider locking it to 60, so we're going to do that right away. Go here, we'll drop it all the way down to 60. Again, this is for people that want even more than 4 hours of battery, somehow. Maybe we can actually limit the wattage as well, instead, but it's using 10 watts in its entirety. 10 watts for the CPU, GPU, controls, screen, all that combined is 10 watts. That's insane. In a good way. I think we could drop it even further if we wanted to. So what did it say? You need the Chompers Dental Office Key. That's a great name for a dentist, Chompers. And just to remind you some memories if you ever played the game. This is the original beginning of the game. I remember being blown away by the graphics. It still holds up when it comes to art, but it's so easy to run. Again, you can play at 90 with some microstutter or at 60 pretty consistently with very low wattage. I mean, we're just less than 10 watts on the entire machine. And it's basically 60s, the fan turns off when you're indoors. So again, I think no reason not to play it. And if you're on the OLED, it looks even better because of the darker environments. The OLED really helps in moments like this. Completely dark. So yeah, highly recommended. And so far I haven't run into any crashes with this one, like I did back then when Windows 7 was the main thing. And in loading screens, I got a lot of crashing. This is again, the remastered version. So let's jump into Bioshock 2. Bioshock 2 Remastered is much of the same of the settings I used in the original. So something like this. The other Bioshock, there's some microstutter that I don't know where it comes from, but it's pretty annoying. it should go away after a bit. But here we're talking about at 90 FPS, 4 hours of battery, over 4 hours of battery on a full charge. And I think it still looks pretty good. There's a lot of aliasing which you could improve on by increasing the resolution further than this. But I'm happy to report that this is 16 by 10, so it uses the entire screen. And well, if you're fine with 4 and something hours of battery at 90 Hz with some micro stutter, you'll be happy with this one. And when it comes to crashing, the original, at least on my PC back in the day, had a disgusting amount of crashing in loading screens. On the remaster, I never had any crashing, so hopefully that applies to everyone. But again, I'm not sure if the micro stutter is a UE3 thing or a translation layer incompatibility. But I think the game looks pretty good, and it holds up pretty damn well. Dead. And I'm dead. So yeah, 90 FPS works, sometimes drops into the upper 80s, but nothing major. It works very well with long battery life. But what about 60s? So if I want to do even more battery and keep 60 Hz consistently, well, you can also do that. There will be less micro stutter, luckily enough. And well, you'll get like over 5 hours of battery on a full charge. And it works fantastically well. Hopefully we can learn what the source of that micro stutter is, but as of right now, it's a little bit annoying. I wouldn't say it makes it unplayable. Like this one. There we go. And that camera is the problem. There we go. And also the UI is a little bit squished. Maybe after restarting the game, the maintain UI aspect ratio actually works. But I would say it's completely fine, just like the first Bioshock. And it's UE3. It was a DX9 game. I think now it's DX11 with the remaster. But again, when it comes to remastering this game, it was really like a higher resolution on the new consoles and maybe some extra terrain decoration. But that's as far as it goes. But I recommend. But I'd say this game is still worth playing in 2024. Art style is still there. Of course, textures look dated, but you can have a long runtime on battery. Again, 5 to 6 hours at 60s on a full charge, 4 hours at 90 Hz. But again, that micro stutter thing, hope it gets sorted out with Proton updates or something. We're on the latest Proton, by the way. And the fan is at 0% when very little stuff is happening. So again, I'll highly recommend it. Just like I said with the original. Oh, that's a friendly, okay. I didn't know it could follow me all the way up there. So yeah, let's jump into the next one. Bioshock Infinite, which is the most demanding out of the three, obviously. Bioshock Infinite, 800p, textures and texture filtering on ultra, high shadows, post-processing on normal, high ambient occlusion and object level of detail, and light shafts on. I only increased the FOV a tiny bit. So let's get into it right away. Welcome to Bioshock Infinite. And well, what to say? This one, I played it back in the day on a very low-end GPU in comparison to whatever the Steam Deck is using. I was playing on a GTS 450. If you never heard about it, don't worry. It was basically running this at 40 on a much lower resolution. So I wasn't using 1080p back then. I was more like at, yeah, maybe 720. And as you can see, in comparison to the other games, is still pretty taxing. This was Unreal Engine 3 still. So yeah, the core engine was the same as before, and I forgot that we have that machine over there. But it was very different to the other Bioshock games, in a good and a bad way for some people. Personally, I very much enjoyed it when it came out. Again, I played it like at 40 FPS at 720 on my PC. And I think still visually they did a lot of great choices. Please don't die, please don't die. Protect me, machine. But as you can see, in more heavy combat moments like this one, you're going to drop below 90 FPS. Would I recommend trying to stay at 90? No, not really. I mean, it works pretty well, feels pretty smooth, but I think it's still not enough. Not consistent enough to recommend keeping it at 90. I mean, if you're into that sort of thing, that's okay. The thing is, when combat happens, you can drop into the 70s. But I cherry-picked this level because it dropped frames quite significantly in comparison to other ones. But the game still looks great in my opinion. Visually it still holds up. But with 90 FPS on a full charge, probably 2.5 hours of battery on an OLED. And I really love the colors. I don't know why on the recording it's looking kinda... yeah, like pink, purple-ish. Yeah, the game doesn't actually look that extremely pink to purple when it comes to post-processing, so that's weird. Anyway, still I think it looks fantastic. But on combat you're getting 90, so let's go for 60. So opening this, drop it all the way down to 60. I even think some icons flash faster at 90 Hz. And we're not on a full battery at the moment. We're at 78% battery. And like this, you should be basically 3.5 to 4 hours of battery. And the game still looks great. Feels nice to play at 60. Again, I played this at 30 to 45 back in the day. I know standards are higher now. Okay, so now I wanted to show you something more visually appealing, less dark. Yeah, there we go. Again, I think they did a great job with the art style on this one, considering the graphical limitations, hardware limitations. So what do I think about the Bioshock franchise on the Steam Deck? Well, first of all, on Bioshock 1 and 2, play the remastered versions. The originals that were the DX9 and had less options, those are not great. They crash. Again, even when those games came out back then, I had crashing issues on my computer. So I highly recommend you play the remastered stuff. It's more compatible, less crashing. Then when it comes to 90 Hz on the OLED, I'd say you can play those at 90 Hz if you don't mind 3.5 to 4 hours of battery. That's good enough in my opinion, but if you want even more battery, like 5 to 6 hours, consider playing them at 60 Hz. They still feel completely fine to play. So that's for Bioshock 1 and 2. When it comes to Bioshock Infinite, while you can hit 90 FPS when action shows up, you're going to be, well, GPU limited. This is a newer game at the end of the day, but you can get there pretty well. Just, you're going to get some drops when enemies are attacking you, plus 2.5 hours of battery, give or take. So my advice is to get 6 FPS, lock it to 60, get 3.5 to 4 hours of battery, 4 to 4.5 hours of battery, and it feels completely fine at 60. Okay, here we go, this part was fantastic. I remember not being prepared for this one when it came out, but man, what an awesome scene. I really do love the takedowns on this one. So while you can do 90 FPS, it's not 100% consistent. It feels less smooth, especially when there is combat to happen. So yeah. Personally, I'll just lock this one to 60 to get a very good battery life, plus smooth visuals, maintaining consistently the 6 FPS target. So yeah, would I recommend the Bioshock franchise on Steam Deck? Most definitely. Just play the last one at 60 if you're on the OLED, and you'll be good. Colors really pop, they are very dark environments inside those games. This one also has some dark parts in the map, but those are more of a rare occurrence in comparison to the originals. Bioshock 1 and 2 have super mega dark environments, so it's perfect for the OLED screen. But that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did revisiting these old fantastic games. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys, thanks for watching. And before I go, these two atoms.